Story 1. Last summer, my parents went through a rough patch financially. Dad lost his job at the factory after 20 years when they downsized, and Mom's part-time work at the library barely covered our utilities. I could see the stress etched on their faces each night at dinner as they quietly discussed which bills to prioritize. I wanted to help, but who hires a 15-year-old these days? After getting rejected from every fast food joint and retail store in our small town, I decided to take matters into my own hands. My grandmother had left me a small inheritance of $500 when she passed away 2 years ago. I'd been saving it for something special, and helping my family seemed like the perfect use. With that money, I bought a decent cooler, cups, supplies, and ingredients to start a cold drink stand. I set up on the corner of Maple and Oak, right at the entrance to our neighborhood park. The spot was perfect, lots of foot traffic from people heading to the park, especially during the hot summer months. I offered fresh lemonade, iced tea, and fruit-infused water at reasonable prices. Nothing fancy, just honest, refreshing drinks for people enjoying the outdoors. The first few days were slow, but word started spreading. I made sure my stand was spotless, my drinks were consistently good, and I was polite to everyone. Within 2 weeks, I had regular customers who would stop by daily, some even bringing their own cups for discounts. I was making around $50, $70 per day, which might not sound like much, but it meant I could contribute to our grocery bills and even help with part of the electric payment. Everything was going great until about a month in, when I noticed a woman watching me from across the street. She stood outside her store, a small convenience shop that had been there for years, but honestly looked a bit run down. I'd always been friendly with the previous owner, an elderly man who retired last year, but I hadn't formally met the new owner. That afternoon, as I was serving a family of 4, she marched across the street and stood impatiently behind my customers. Once they left, she immediately launched into me. "Woman, do you have a permit for this?" Me, excuse me. Woman, a business permit. You can't just set up shop wherever you want. There are rules. I was caught off guard but tried to stay calm. Me, I'm just selling lemonade and iced tea. I'm not running a restaurant. Woman, you're taking customers away from legitimate businesses. My store sells drinks too, you know. She gestured across the street to her convenience store. Me, I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I'm just trying to earn some money to help my parents. Woman, not my problem. Either shut this down by tomorrow, or I'm calling the authorities. She stormed off before I could respond. I packed up early that day, feeling sick to my stomach. When I got home, I told my parents what happened. Dad looked it up online, and in our town, small stands run by minors didn't actually require permits, as long as they followed basic health guidelines, which I was careful about. The next day, I set up again, making sure everything was extra clean. Around noon, a police car pulled up. My heart sank as an officer approached my stand. "Officer, afternoon. Got a complaint about an illegal business operation." Me, is this about my drink stand? I researched the rules and thought it was okay for minors to run small stands. The officer looked at my setup, noting the sealed ingredients, disposable gloves I was wearing, and hand sanitizer I kept nearby. "Officer, you're right about that. As long as you're keeping things sanitary and not blocking the sidewalk, you're fine. Mind if I get a lemonade while I'm here?" Relief washed over me as I poured him a cup. As he was paying, the woman from yesterday stormed across the street. "Woman, are you shutting this illegal operation down?" "Officer, ma'am, there's no violation here. The kid's following all the rules." "Woman, this is ridiculous. Do you know how much business I'm losing because of this?" "This child?" "Officer, that's not a legal issue, ma'am. Free market and all that." The woman glared at me. "Woman, this isn't over." True to her word, over the next 2 weeks, police officers showed up at my stand almost daily with various complaints. Noise disturbance despite me not playing any music, littering though I provided a trash can and kept the area clean, even a claim I was selling alcohol to minors, which was absurd. Each time, the officers would inspect my stand, find no violations, and usually buy a drink before leaving. Some even started coming regularly on their breaks. One officer finally told me what was happening. "Officer, just so you know, the owner of the convenience store keeps calling in these complaints. We have to respond, but we all know you're not doing anything wrong. Might be good to document everything just in case." I started keeping a journal of all the incidents and taking photos of my stand each day to show I was maintaining cleanliness and order. I also began to notice more customers coming specifically because they'd heard about the situation. One day, an older couple stopped by. "Elderly man, are you the kid that convenience store owner keeps trying to shut down?" Me: "Yes, sir." Elderly woman: "Well, we used to shop there, but we don't appreciate how she's treating you. Your lemonade is better anyway." More and more people started sharing similar sentiments. Someone created a social media page supporting my stand, and soon I had customers coming from neighboring towns just to buy my drinks. A few locals even started bringing me homemade cookies and snacks to sell alongside my beverages, giving me a small commission on what sold. The convenience store owner escalated her tactics. She set up her own drink stand right outside her store with prices lower than mine. When that didn't work, she started taking photos of my customers and posting them on her store window with captions like "Traders to local business." That backfired spectacularly when people realized what she was doing and started posing enthusiastically for her photos. The turning point came when she tried to physically dismantle my stand one afternoon when I stepped away to use the restroom at the park facilities. A group of regular customers witnessed this and recorded the whole thing. One customer, who happened to be a lawyer, stepped in to stop her. "Lawyer, what you're doing is destruction of property and possibly theft. Step away from the stand now." Woman: "Mind your own business. This kid is destroying my livelihood." Lawyer: "By selling lemonade? Your store sells hundreds of items, this stand doesn't. If you're losing business, maybe consider why people prefer not to shop at your store." By the time I returned, a small crowd had gathered. The convenience store owner saw me and pointed an accusing finger. "Woman, you've turned the whole town against me. This is my livelihood. I've reported you to the health department, the business bureau, everyone." Me: "I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm just trying to help my family make ends meet." Lawyer: "Don't apologize. You've done nothing wrong." The next day, a local news van was parked near my stand. A reporter approached me asking for an interview about the lemonade stand that's dividing the town. I was nervous but agreed to tell my side of the story. I explained about my family's financial situation, how I started the stand to help out, and the ongoing issues with the convenience store owner. The report aired that evening, featuring interviews with several customers and even 2 police officers on their personal time who vouched for me. They also tried to interview the convenience store owner, who just shouted about unfair competition and entitled kids these days before slamming her door in their faces. The publicity transformed my little stand overnight. The next day, there was a line of people waiting before I even set up. Someone brought a tent to provide shade for waiting customers. A local ice company donated ice. Another person brought a portable speaker and played relaxing music nearby. It felt like the whole town had rallied behind me. Even the mayor stopped by, buying lemonade for her entire staff and taking photos with me for social media. She publicly thanked me for my entrepreneurial spirit and announced that the upcoming town festival would include a special section for young entrepreneurs inspired by my stand. The convenience store owner made one final attempt at revenge. She filed a formal lawsuit claiming I had engaged in unfair business practices. But the lawyer who had defended me earlier offered to represent me pro bono, and the case was quickly dismissed by a judge who seemed to be fighting back a smile during the hearing. Judge: "Young people engaging in legitimate entrepreneurial activities does not constitute unfair business practices." Case dismissed. By the end of summer, I had earned enough to help my parents catch up on bills and even start a small college fund for myself. Dad eventually found a new job, and things got easier at home. I scaled back the stand to weekends only when school started, but still maintained a loyal customer base. As for the convenience store owner, she eventually sold her business and moved away. The new owners completely renovated the place, adding a proper coffee corner and fresh sandwiches. They even asked if I'd be interested in a part-time job once I turned 16. Their first change? Adding a sign that read, "Proud supporter of young entrepreneurs" in their window. Sometimes I think about how differently things could have gone if she had just been kind from the beginning. Maybe we could have collaborated somehow, her selling snacks that would go well with my drinks, me directing customers to her store for other needs. Instead, her entitlement and anger just brought the community together against her. These days, when people ask about the lemonade wars, as they've come to be known locally, I just smile and pour them a fresh cup. Success, I've learned, is the best response to pettiness. Story 2. My sister's daughter, my adorable niece, was turning 6, and I volunteered to handle the birthday party arrangements. Being the favorite aunt has its responsibilities, and I take them seriously. My niece had been talking about having a party at Riverside Park for months, because of the playground and the duck pond she loves to visit. I'm not one to leave things to chance, so 2 months before the big day, I went to the Parks and Recreation office downtown. I filled out all the paperwork, paid the reservation fee, and got the official permit to use the covered picnic area on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. The park's employee even highlighted a phone number to call if there were any issues. I felt pretty proud of myself for being so organized. The day before the party, I bought all the decorations, pink and purple everything, with unicorn tablecloths and matching plates, her current obsession. I baked cupcakes, ordered the cake, and prepared little goodie bags for all 15 of her kindergarten friends who were coming. On the big day, I arrived at the park at 9 a.m., a full 2 hours before the party was set to start. I wanted plenty of time to decorate the picnic area and get everything perfect. My brother-in-law came with me to help set up, and we started unloading all the party supplies from my car. We had already hung up the happy birthday banner, spread the unicorn tablecloths over 3 picnic tables, and set up the gift table when a large SUV pulled up to the parking area nearest our spot. It was about 10 a.m., still an hour before our party was supposed to start. A woman got out of the driver's seat. She looked to be in her 40s, with frosted blonde hair pulled back in a tight ponytail and oversized sunglasses. 2 teenage boys emerged from the back seats. Without even glancing our way, despite the very obvious birthday decorations, she popped open her trunk and started unloading coolers and folding chairs. I watched in disbelief as she directed her sons to start setting up right in the middle of our decorated area. One of the boys actually moved our cupcake stand to make room for their cooler. I took a deep breath and walked over with my friendliest smile. "Excuse me, I'm sorry, but we've reserved this picnic area for a birthday party today. There are some other tables available on the other side of the playground." The woman barely looked at me as she continued unpacking food containers. "Woman, you can't reserve public space. First come, first serve, sweetheart." "Actually, you can reserve this specific picnic area. I have the permit right here in my bag." She straightened up and put her hands on her hips. "Woman, well, we're already setting up. My boys are starving, and we're not moving. There's plenty of room for all of us." "I'm sorry, but we've invited 15 kindergartners plus parents. We need all the tables, and I specifically reserved this area 2 months ago." "Woman, look, I don't care what piece of paper you think you have. This is a public park that my tax dollars pay for." She turned to her teenage sons who were standing awkwardly nearby. "Woman, boys, guard the tables. Don't let them take our spot." The teenagers looked embarrassed, but did as they were told, sitting down at one of our decorated tables. My brother-in-law came over, confused about what was happening. "Brother-in-law, is everything okay?" "This woman is trying to use our reserved space for her own picnic." I pulled out the reservation permit from my bag and showed it to my brother-in-law, making sure the woman could see it clearly. Me? See? We have a permit for this exact picnic area from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today. The woman snatched the paper from my hands and glanced at it. Woman. This could be fake. Anyone could print this out. She tossed it back at me. Me. You're welcome to call the Parks Department. The number is right there on the permit. Woman. I'm not calling anyone. We're staying right here. You'll have to find somewhere else for your little party. By this point, I was getting really frustrated. Parents and children would be arriving in less than an hour, and we still had more decorating to do. Me. Ma'am, I've been polite, but I need to insist. This area is reserved for my niece's birthday party. There are other picnic tables available in the park. Woman. Are you threatening me? Boys, did you hear how she's threatening us? The teenagers looked uncomfortable and didn't respond. Woman. That's it. I'm calling the police. To my complete shock, she pulled out her phone and actually dialed 911. Woman? Hello? Yes, I need to report a threat. I'm at Riverside Park with my children, and this woman is threatening us and trying to make us leave a public space. Yes, I feel unsafe. She's being very aggressive. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My brother-in-law and I exchanged looks of total disbelief. Brother-in-law, did she seriously just call the police? Me. Apparently. This is ridiculous. Woman. The police are on their way. Let's see who they believe. For the next 20 minutes, we were at a standstill. Her sons had stopped unpacking their stuff but remained seated at our decorated table. My brother-in-law and I continued setting up as best we could around them, while the woman stood with her arms crossed, glaring at us. 2 police officers finally arrived. One was an older man with graying hair, and the other was a younger woman. Male officer. We received a call about a disturbance. The woman immediately rushed over to them. Woman. Yes, officer. These people are harassing us and trying to force us out of a public space. She threatened my boys. I calmly approached with my permit in hand. Me. Officer, I reserved this picnic area 2 months ago for my niece's 6th birthday party. I have the official permit here. This woman arrived an hour ago and started setting up in our reserved space. When I politely asked her to move to one of the many available tables, she refused and then called you claiming I threatened her, which I absolutely did not do. The female officer took the permit and examined it, while the male officer spoke to the woman. Female officer. This is a valid reservation permit for this picnic area. She showed it to her partner, who nodded. Male officer. Ma'am, the city does allow reservations for these covered picnic areas. They have a valid permit. Woman. That's ridiculous. It's a public park. Male officer. Yes, it's a public park, but certain facilities within public parks can be reserved for events. This is one of those facilities. Woman. Well, I'm not leaving. We've already set up. The officers exchanged a look. Female officer. Actually, ma'am, you will need to relocate to another area of the park. There are several other picnic tables available. Woman. And if I refuse? Male officer. Then you would be trespassing, and we would have to escort you out of the park entirely. Woman. This is outrageous. Do you know who my husband is? At this point, parents and children had started to arrive for the party and were watching the scene unfold. Female officer. Ma'am, please gather your belongings. We'll help you relocate to another picnic area. Woman. I want to speak to your supervisor. This is discrimination. Male officer. You're welcome to file a complaint, but right now you need to move your things. You also need to be aware that making false reports to emergency services is a serious offense. The woman's face had turned bright red. Her teenage sons, clearly mortified, had already started packing up their things without being told. One son. Mom, let's just go. This is embarrassing. Woman: Fine. This park is terrible anyway. As the officers stood watching, the woman and her sons loaded everything back into their SUV. The entire time, she kept muttering about lawsuits and knowing important people. Just before getting into her car, she turned to face all the arriving party guests. Woman: Enjoy your stupid party. The male officer stepped closer to her. Male officer: Ma'am, that's enough. Please leave now. With a final huff, she got in her SUV and sped out of the parking lot. The female officer turned to me with an apologetic smile. Female officer: Sorry about that. Enjoy your niece's birthday party. And we did. Once the drama was over, the party went perfectly. My niece had a wonderful time with her friends, loved all her presents, and declared it the best birthday ever. She never even knew about the entitled woman who tried to ruin her special day. As for me, I now keep a copy of any reservation permit in both digital and physical form, just in case I ever encounter another person who thinks, first come, first serve, sweetheart trumps official reservations. Story 3. I'm a 58-year-old retired teacher who lives alone in a small house near the edge of town. After my spouse passed away 3 years ago, it's just been me and my golden retriever, Buddy, not his real name, of course. Buddy's been with me for 12 years now, and though he's slowed down quite a bit with arthritis in his back legs, our morning walks at Riverside Park are sacred to both of us. Every day, rain or shine, we walk the same path around the duck pond, stopping at the same bench where I drink my coffee while Buddy watches the ducks. It's peaceful, predictable, and exactly what we both need. Most of the regulars at the park know us by now. They nod or wave, sometimes stop for a quick chat, but mostly everyone respects each other's routines. That all changed last month when she showed up. It was a Tuesday morning, unusually warm for April. Buddy and I were at our bench when I noticed a woman I'd never seen before walking with a little girl, probably around 7 or 8 years old. The girl spotted Buddy and immediately lit up. Girl: Mommy, look at the doggy. Can I pet him? The woman looked over at us and smiled. Woman: Of course, honey. Let's go ask. They approached our bench, and I smiled. Buddy loves kids, and despite his age, he's always gentle with them. Woman: Good morning. My daughter would love to pet your dog if that's okay. Me: Of course. His name is Buddy. He's very friendly. The little girl carefully approached and started petting Buddy's head. He closed his eyes in contentment as she scratched behind his ears. Girl: He's so soft. I love golden retrievers. We had one when I was little, but he went to live on a farm. I nodded sympathetically. I've heard that farm story enough times to know what it really means. The woman watched for a minute, then sat down next to me on the bench uninvited. Woman: Your dog is really well behaved. How old is he? Me: He's 12. Getting up there in years, but still enjoys his walks. Woman: 12. Wow, that's practically ancient for a big dog. I just nodded, a bit put off by her comment. Buddy might be a senior, but he was still healthy and happy. The woman watched her daughter playing with Buddy for a few more minutes, then suddenly said something that caught me completely off guard. Woman: You know, my daughter really loves him. You should let us take him for a sleepover just for the weekend. I laughed, assuming she was making some kind of joke. But when I looked at her face, I realized she was completely serious. Me: I'm sorry, but no. Buddy doesn't do well in unfamiliar environments. He gets anxious. The woman's expression changed immediately. Her smile disappeared, replaced by something harder. Woman: It would just be for 2 days. My daughter has been begging for a dog, and this would be a good trial run. We take good care of him. Me: I appreciate that, but Buddy is elderly and needs his medication and specific routine. Plus, he's my companion. I couldn't just loan him out. The woman scoffed and rolled her eyes. Woman: It's just a dog. Not like I'm asking to borrow your child. Don't be so selfish. I was genuinely shocked by her response. Who asks to borrow someone's pet, then gets mad when they say no? Me, I'm sorry, but the answer is no. We need to get going now. I stood up and gently called Buddy over. The little girl seemed disappointed, but was polite. Girl, bye, Buddy. Thanks for letting me pet him. But her mother wasn't nearly as gracious. Woman, you know what? You're just gatekeeping happiness. My daughter deserves a dog too, and you're being selfish with yours. He clearly loves my daughter. I didn't even know how to respond to that. Gatekeeping happiness? Because I wouldn't loan out my elderly dog to complete strangers. Me, ma'am, if your daughter wants a dog, maybe consider adopting one from the shelter. There are many dogs looking for good homes. Woman, we don't have time for a full-time dog. That's why borrowing yours would be perfect. You're just being difficult for no reason. By this point, she was raising her voice, and other park-goers were starting to stare. I decided it was best to just walk away. Me, have a nice day. I tugged gently on Buddy's leash, and we walked away as the woman continued to mutter about selfish people. I honestly thought that would be the end of it, just a weird encounter with an entitled parent. I was wrong. The next morning, Buddy and I arrived at the park at our usual time, around 7:30 a.m. We were about halfway through our walk when I spotted a familiar figure crouched near some bushes along our regular route. It was the woman from yesterday, and she was holding something in her hand. As we got closer, I realized with horror what was happening. She had a bag of treats and was making kissing noises, trying to get Buddy's attention. Her car was parked on the service road nearby, with the back door open. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Was she actually trying to lure my dog away from me? Me, excuse me, what do you think you're doing? She jumped, clearly not expecting to be caught. She quickly shoved the treats into her pocket. Woman, oh, good morning. I was just, feeding the squirrels. Me, with the back door of your car open? Were you trying to lure my dog? Woman, don't be ridiculous. Why would I do that? But her face was flushed, and she couldn't meet my eyes. Buddy, thankfully, had stayed right by my side. Me, I think you know exactly what you were doing. This is completely unacceptable. Where's your daughter today? Woman, she's at school. Look, you're making a big deal out of nothing. I just wanted to show Buddy some affection. Me, by trying to get him into your car. That's called dog theft where I come from. The woman's demeanor suddenly changed from defensive to aggressive. Woman, you're being dramatic. It's not like you'd even miss him that much. Old people get new dogs all the time when theirs die, and at his age, it won't be long anyway. My daughter would give him a wonderful last few years. I was speechless. Did she just imply that because I'm older and Buddy is a senior dog, it wouldn't matter if she took him? That he was somehow disposable to me? Me, I'm calling park security right now. Stay right where you are. Woman, go ahead. They'll just see a woman enjoying the park. You have no proof of anything. She started walking quickly toward her car. I took out my phone and managed to snap a picture of her license plate before she drove away. I immediately went to the park office and reported the incident. To my relief, they took it very seriously. The park had installed surveillance cameras the previous year after some vandalism incidents, and they assured me they would review the footage. I also filed a report with Animal Control, providing them with the woman's license plate number and description. They were concerned about the attempted dog theft and promised to follow up. 2 days later, I received a call from the animal control officer. They had identified the woman from the park footage and my description. Apparently, this wasn't her first incident. She had previously been reported for trying to take a cat from someone's yard, claiming it was obviously a stray despite the collar and ID tag. The officer informed me that they had issued her a significant fine and that the park had banned her from entering for 6 months. They also mandated that she take a pet ethics course before the ban would be lifted. The cherry on top. The animal control officer mentioned that when they confronted the woman at her home, they discovered she had a perfectly healthy young Labrador puppy in her backyard, one she had apparently gotten just a week before our encounter. Her excuse? My daughter wanted a golden retriever, not a black lab. Buddy and I still go to the park every morning, but now I'm much more cautious about who I let approach him. It's sad that one entitled person can make you lose trust like that, but at least Buddy is safe. And I've started carrying treats of my own, not to lure other people's pets, but to keep my best friend a little closer when strangers are around. Story 4. I've been working at Sunshine Bakery for almost 3 years now. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills while I finish my culinary degree. Most days are pretty routine: take orders, box pastries, make change. But there's something about Saturday mornings that brings out the worst in people. Last Saturday started like any other weekend shift. I arrived at 5 a.m. to help with the baking, and by 8 a.m. we had a line stretching out the door. Our cinnamon rolls and sourdough loaves are worth the wait, at least according to our regulars. I was working the register, trying to keep the line moving as quickly as possible. Everyone was being patient despite the wait. Well, almost everyone. Around 9:30, when the line was at its longest, I heard the bell above the door jingle and looked up to see a middle-aged woman with expensive sunglasses perched on her head and designer clothes that screamed, "I want to speak to the manager." I'd seen her in the shop a few times before, always with the same impatient attitude. But what happened next was on another level. Instead of joining the back of the line like a normal person, she marched straight to the front, cutting in front of at least 20 customers who had been waiting patiently. She stood there tapping her foot like she owned the place. "Excuse me, ma'am, there's a line. You'll need to wait your turn like everyone else." The woman looked at me like I just suggested she eat off the floor. "Woman, do you know who I am? I come here every week. I'm a loyal customer." "I understand, but so are many people in this line. It wouldn't be fair to serve you first." "Woman, this is ridiculous. I have places to be. I'm not standing in this line for half an hour just to get a few pastries." By this point, everyone in the bakery was watching. I could see people exchanging glances, and a few had their phones out. "I'm sorry, but I need to serve these customers who have been waiting." "Woman, I spend hundreds of dollars here, hundreds. I'll tank your Yelp score so fast your head will spin." Her voice was getting louder with each word, and her face was turning an alarming shade of red. My manager, who had been in the back, came out to see what all the commotion was about. "Manager, what seems to be the problem?" "Woman, your employee is being incredibly rude to me. I'm a loyal customer, and I'm being treated like garbage." "Manager, I understand you're upset, but we can't let you cut in front of all these people who have been waiting." "Woman, this is unacceptable. I want to speak to the owner." "Manager, I'm afraid the owner isn't in today, and even if they were, our policy would be the same." The woman was now holding up the entire line. People were shifting uncomfortably, some looking at their watches. One customer, a young guy with glasses who had been patiently waiting near the front, had his phone pointed directly at the scene. "Woman, I don't care about your policy. I deserve special treatment. Do you know how many people I've told about this place?" An older man in the line finally spoke up. "Older man, lady, we've all been waiting. What makes you think you're so special?" "Woman, mind your own business, old man." Another customer, a woman with 2 small children, chimed in. "Mother, you're teaching these kids a terrible lesson right now. Everyone has to wait their turn." "Woman, oh, shut up. This doesn't concern you." 10 minutes into this standoff, with a line not moving and everyone growing increasingly frustrated, the woman was still ranting about her importance and threatening to destroy our business with bad reviews. "Manager, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to either join the back of the line or leave the store." "Woman, fine, I'll leave, but you'll regret this. I'm going to write such a bad review that you'll lose half your customers." As she stormed toward the door, she turned back for one final shot. "Woman, you haven't seen the last of me." The bakery erupted in applause as she left, which only seemed to infuriate her more. She flipped everyone off through the window before stomping to her luxury SUV. The young guy who had been filming approached the counter. "Young guy, I got the whole thing on video. Want me to send it to you? Might come in handy if she tries anything." My manager gave him the bakery's email, and we got back to serving customers. The rest of the day went smoothly, and I thought that would be the end of it. But later that evening, my phone blew up with notifications. My coworkers were messaging me about a 1-star Yelp review from the woman, claiming she had been assaulted and discriminated against at our bakery. She wrote that I had personally insulted her and that my manager had threatened to call the police for no reason. It was complete fiction. What she didn't know was that my manager had already posted the video on our bakery's social media accounts with the caption, "Please don't be this person. We respect all our customers and ask that they respect each other too." By Sunday morning, the video had gone viral. Local news picked it up, and suddenly our little bakery drama was everywhere. People were leaving supportive comments and 5-star reviews to counter her false claims. Yelp eventually flagged her account for suspicious activity when she tried to post multiple negative reviews using different accounts. The icing on the cake came on Monday when the owner called a staff meeting. They showed us a formal notice they had drafted and posted on the bakery door. To maintain a positive environment for all our valued customers, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. One individual has been permanently banned from our establishment due to abusive behavior toward our staff and other customers. We thank everyone for their support and understanding. They even printed a screenshot from the video and kept it behind the counter, just in case she tried to come back wearing a disguise or something. The owner also gave everyone who worked that Saturday a bonus for handling the situation professionally. The woman did try to come back the following weekend, acting like nothing had happened. The moment she walked in, 3 employees including me pointed to her picture and then to the door. Her face when she realized she was the individual referred to in the notice was priceless. She threatened to sue us for defamation, but nothing ever came of it. Turns out, when you're caught on video behaving badly, there's not much ground for a lawsuit. Our bakery actually saw an increase in business after the incident. People would come in and jokingly ask if they needed to cut the line to get served, and we all got a good laugh out of it. The best part? The woman's adult daughter came in about a month later, bought a dozen cookies, and apologized for her mother's behavior. She said the viral video had been a wake-up call for the family about her mother's entitled attitude. I gave her an extra cookie on the house. So that's my story of the Saturday morning bakery showdown. Sometimes karma is sweet just like our pastries.